There are places in the world that don't quite make sense. Some are lost in time, forgotten by the world. Others seem trapped in an unsettling stillness with no explanation for why they appear as they do. But what if there was a place where time itself seemed to vanish, a place where everything, the houses, the food on the tables, the cars running in the streets, was exactly as it had been before, yet no one was there? A place where no one could explain what happened. A place that seemingly vanished off the map without a trace. This is the chilling story of a town that disappeared. In the fall of 2007, a group of 4 college friends decided to take a road trip across the United States. They weren't headed anywhere in particular, just driving, exploring, seeking new experiences, and enjoying the open road. They had no fixed itinerary, preferring spontaneity over careful planning. They were young, excited, and eager for adventure, and they didn't realize that their sense of wonder would soon be replaced by fear. As they drove deeper into unfamiliar territory, they started to notice something unusual. The radio signal became weak. The air outside seemed to grow unnervingly cold, even though it was the height of summer. It wasn't long before the group began to feel uneasy. They couldn't shake the feeling that something was off, but they continued driving, hoping to shake off the eerie feeling that clung to them. And then, as the afternoon sun began to dip below the horizon, they saw it, a small town that appeared out of nowhere. A faded sign on the outskirts of the town read, "Welcome to Hillcrest," but there was something odd about it. The sign seemed out of place, as if it had been forgotten by the world, and the town ahead seemed stuck in a time that no longer existed. As they drove into Hillcrest, it became clear that something was wrong. The streets were empty. The town was eerily quiet, with no signs of life. No cars. No pedestrians. The houses looked like they had been deserted for decades, yet they appeared untouched, as if frozen in time. There were no signs of decay, no broken windows or vandalized buildings. Everything was in its place, but everything was also still. It was as if the town had simply stopped, as though time itself had paused in this forgotten place. Their curiosity led them to a house in the center of the town. The door was wide open, and inside, a dining table was set for a meal. Plates were piled high with food, steam rising from the dishes as if they had just been prepared. The scent of freshly cooked food filled the air, but there was not a single soul in sight. No one to sit down at the table, no one to eat. It was as though the people who lived there had vanished in the middle of their dinner. It was a sight both perplexing and unnerving, like a scene from a dream or a nightmare. The group began walking around the town, hoping to find someone who could explain the strange sight before them. But what they found was even more chilling. In the middle of the street, a child's toy car lay abandoned, as if it had been dropped in haste. There were no children playing, no parents calling their kids inside, no laughter or movement. The toy sat there, alone, waiting for someone to return. But no one ever came. They continued to explore, entering house after house, each more unsettling than the last. One house after another seemed to tell the same eerie story. Dust had begun to settle on the furniture, but there was no indication that it had been abandoned for long. The rooms appeared undisturbed, as if the owners simply stepped out and never returned. It was as though the town itself was waiting for something, for someone to come back. And then, in the middle of the town, they found something even more bizarre. A car was parked in the street, its engine idling, as if the driver had simply stepped away. The car's door was wide open, and the radio played quietly. But there was no one around. No one to explain why the car had been left running in the middle of an empty street. The group quickly left Hillcrest, their minds racing with questions they couldn't answer. They didn't know what had happened to the people of the town or why it had been left behind. They didn't know if they had stumbled upon something supernatural or if there was a more logical explanation. But one thing was certain, the town wasn't what it seemed, and they had to get away from it as fast as they could. The next day, the group returned to the area, hoping to find the town again. They drove for hours, trying to retrace their route, but the town had vanished. No sign of Hillcrest, no record of it on any map. It was as if the town had never existed at all. The mystery of the vanishing town remains unsolved. What happened to the people of Hillcrest? Why was the town abandoned in such an eerie, deliberate manner? Was it an accident, a natural disaster, or something far darker? Perhaps the answer is lost to time, or perhaps some things are meant to remain a mystery.